Drunken Chef.
Hey everyone, another episode of Drunken Chef. Tonight's going to be a little bit different. We're doing a grilling and smoking episode. We're going to do a couple of different techniques. We're going to smoke some nice baby back ribs here, and we're also going to grill some sirloin steaks later and some grilled portobello mushroom caps. A little different this time. You might notice it's still daylight out and we're sober. That's because the ribs are going to take quite a while. So you're not only going to see the process of the ribs transforming into something awesome, you're going to see the process of us transforming into something that's not so awesome. So what we're going to do now is we're going to season up the ribs, and they're going to need to sit with the rub for quite some time. I made my own homemade barbecue rub here. It's pretty simple. It's just brown sugar, kosher salt, garlic powder, thyme, some cumin, some dark chili powder, and some smoked paprika and a little bit of chipotle powder. I can't give you measurements because I don't measure. My rub comes out just a little bit different every time. But the real thing is you want half of the entire mixture to be the brown sugar, and basically season up the brown sugar from there. Try a couple of different, volumes of everything else, and just do it to your own taste. So we have a nice rack of baby back ribs here sitting on a pan, and we're just gonna very liberally, put a bunch of this rub all over them. They call it a rub, but you don't want to rub it in. Basically, you want to get a nice thick layer and pat it in gently, just so it makes a nice crust on it. I'm gonna flip them over. Now, a lot of people with their ribs, there's a silver skin here you might see, and a lot of people take that silver skin and cut it off beforehand. I don't like to. Number one, it's a pain in the ass. And number two, I think keeping the silver skin on during cooking keeps them a lot more moist, and it peels off really easily after the fact once everything is completely cooked. Now we're going to leave these sit here for a couple hours while we build the fire and get everything ready for the smoker. Overnight would be best to leave it, but we don't really have that luxury today, so a couple hours is going to be fine. Alright, we're back. It's been, hour and a half since we rubbed down the ribs. As you can see, the ribs are hanging out there. I want to show you guys my grill. We've never done an outside episode, so this is my grill. It's a little bigger than your average home barbecue grill, and it's a little better than yours, so go buy one. No, really, I've got a propane on one side, charcoal on the other side, and the charcoal doubles as a smoker, which we're using tonight, a little side firebox. So what we did while the rub was, soaking into the ribs and doing its thing, we got the smoker all up to temp. We're running close to 200 degrees right now. That's going to be the optimum temperature, and it'll hit there. So at this point, we are going to put the ribs on. Pretty close to the heat there. And then we have some hickory chips that we've been soaking for a few hours in water. And we're just going to throw a small handful or two of those right onto the fire, and they're going to smolder and create some really awesome smoke.
Sizzle chips.
Yes, sizzle chips. So what I failed to mention earlier was, I asked some people on the Facebook to give me suggestions on what to make, so I actually took a couple people's suggestions, so this one's for you. Warm it up, Chris. All right, we are back. It's been about, an hour and a half or so since we put the ribs in. I put some new coals in. Now the thing is, if you're using a side firebox like this, what you need to do is about every hour and a half or so, you need to just get a handful of more charcoal, just throw it on, let it get up to temp, and, it'll keep your stuff going well. But you see, the ribs are transforming nicely, and as you can tell, so are we. But what I did forget to mention earlier was underneath everything, there's a pan with some water in it. What that does is it creates a little bit of steam and, keeps everything moist in there.
Moist.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. What I have here is some raspberry wine vinegar. You can use any kind of stuff. I like to use sometimes a combination of apple juice and apple cider vinegar. Any kind of combination of juice and vinegar is good. I'm using the raspberry wine vinegar by itself because it's very sweet on its own. It's just going to add a nice little extra sweet note to it. So we're just going to brush these bad boys down. Once again, the smoker's running around 200 degrees. I like around 200. There's different schools of thoughts. You can go as low as like maybe 180, high as like 225, but right around 200. You know, I'm using a charcoal smoker, so it's never going to be exactly regular. So, you know, it's just enough to keep everything going nicely. But now we have these in. I'm going to throw a few more chips in a couple of minutes, and then we'll check back with you another maybe hour and a half.
Chips.
All right, we're going to call this little party break for Drunken Chef. The ribs are smoking away. Everything's good. I decided to open up a special beer for us, the Heady Topper. That stuff is like trying to find fucking elephant ivory or rhino horn. I had a very good friend of mine, Kevin K. Thanks much, bro. I've already had a can of it, so, well, the brewer says that, you should actually drink it out of the can. It says right on the top of the can, drink out of the can. And we're also having some very nice cigars, thank you, Joel. But I want to give Johnny the inaugural taste out of it since he's never had it. This beer was rated the best beer in the world for several years.
Wow. Wow.
It's a somewhat spiritual experience, isn't it, sir? Wow, that is far better out of the can. My first one I drank out of a glass, but man, that is good out of the can. 8% American Double IPA, Alchemist Heady Topper. Thanks for this party break, guys. All right, well, it's been another, I don't know, hour and a half or so. Put a few more coals on. At this point, the ribs have been smoking now for about 3 hours. They're cooked all the way through, but they're not tender yet. So what we need to do is we need to pull them off and wrap them up in foil and put them on there for another, I don't know, maybe another hour or two. All right, we're inside now. We pulled the ribs off. Now I got some foil here, and we're just gonna wrap these up kind of tight, but not too tight. You want to leave a little bit of airspace. And what this is going to do is going to help redistribute the juices in there, and it's going to help make them nice and tender. All right. Well, we've got the nice wrapped ribs in the foil. They're going to go back on the smoker, but without smoke, because they're not going to take any more smoke with the foil. Just the nice heat. Now we are going to check back in a little while, and probably before these ribs are even done, because we're probably going to end up getting hungry, we're going to move on to the next stage of this whole Drunken Chef grill tutorial thing, and cook some nice sirloin steak and grilled portobello mushroom caps while we're waiting for the ribs to finish.
A few beers later.
All right, well, the ribs have been wrapped in foil in the smoker for, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half. We've been drinking, as you can tell. But while the ribs are in there, another half hour, 45 minutes or so, we're gonna make a steak and we're gonna make some grilled portobello mushrooms. Got a really nice sirloin steak here, seasoned up with salt and pepper, fresh cracked pepper, kosher salt, a little bit of canola oil. Just gonna slap her down a hot grill. I have a timer here. I'm going to check her in about 3 minutes. Okay, the timer's going off. 3 minutes is up. We're going to go and flip the steak now. All right, we're going to set this timer, and we'll see you in another 3 minutes. All right, we're back. It's been 3 minutes on the other side of the steak. So, she looks pretty done. I have some compound butter here. I just took some raw butter, brought it up to room temperature, mixed some blue cheese, some pepper, and some fresh thyme from my garden in it. So I'm gonna just put a couple blobs of this on the steak and let it melt in. All right, I just took the steak off, and it's resting now. We have the blue cheese butter on it. It's in the kitchen, just chilling out, and it's just going to give us enough time while the steak rests properly so the juices redistribute to grill up some portobello mushroom caps. So just have some nice portobello mushroom caps here. Just brush in a little bit of olive oil, put a little bit of salt and pepper on the gill side.
Gill side.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them gill side down and grill them just for a couple of minutes, just like 2 minutes aside. You don't want to grill them too hard because Portobello mushrooms are nice and meaty. You just want to get a nice little char on them. Just a little bit of cooked, release a little bit of the juices. We're going to flip these over. Now, what we're going to do on this second side, we're going to take some shredded cheese. I have some nice shredded cheddar cheese here. We're just going to sprinkle it right in the gill side.
Right in the gill flaps.
Alright, we're going to take these mushrooms in. And the steaks in there should be properly rested. We're going to go in and have a nice taste test. See you in a moment. Alright, Drunken Chef here. We just brought in the portobello mushrooms. We had the steak resting for a while. We put the nice blue cheese butter that I had on it while it was resting. All the juices redistributed. It's going to be really, really nice. I sliced it in little strips. So, Johnny, why don't we take a taste test of this stuff? Oh, that's good.
Very good.
Let's try these here portobello mushrooms, Johnny.
This is the only thing that I would accept as a veggie burger.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Totally agree. We can feast and come back in a little while to feast some more because we still have ribs on the smoker. We're not done yet. Well, that tasting went well. We're going to take off and feast on this and come back in a little while when the ribs are done. It's been a few hours. We kind of, we grilled the steaks and the portobello mushrooms, and these were chilling in here for, I don't know, maybe half hour, 45 minutes longer than I wanted them to, but that's all good. It's just the more tender they're going to be. Woo, warm. Oh, they're falling apart. That's how tender they are. They broke apart. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to brush them with some sauce.
And what is this sauce?
It's just a store-bought barbecue sauce that I doctored up with a little bit of honey, a little bit of garlic powder, and a little bit of chipotle powder for some spice. Now we wait. All right, well, these ribs have been smoking a little bit with the barbecue sauce on. I don't know, maybe an hour and a half. So we're gonna take these ribs off. All right, well, I brought the ribs in, cut them up into segments. Johnny, you want to come over here and give these a taste with me?
Okay. Nifty ribs.
Oh man, they are buttery tender. Maybe even a little too tender. But they're very, very good.
These ribs would make Bill Cosby jealous.
Thanks, Chris, for the suggestion of ribs. It's been a good night. Drunken Chef out, like I always say. If I can do this in this condition, imagine what you can do sober. People, put down the fucking phones. They're poisoning the atmosphere. Drunken Chef out.
This episode of Drunken Chef has been intoxicated by the Southern Tier overpacked 12-pack, a Hitty Topper, drink from the can. And we also had a 15 of the Founders PC Pills.
CC!